Dare to play big when everyone else is afraid. Every generation is given one defining moment to change its destiny, but that moment never arrives in times of calm. It is always disguised as chaos, crisis, and the screams of fear. In 2025, a financial earthquake is quietly spreading across the world. Inflation remains high. U.S. government bonds are maturing at an unprecedented scale. Real estate markets are frozen. Small businesses are going bankrupt and withdrawing from the market. And above all, a deep sense of fear is filling the global atmosphere. Turn on the news and you hear warnings of an approaching recession. Scroll through social media and you see sell-offs, shutdowns, and panic. The entire financial landscape is painted in a thick gray of anxiety and helplessness. But history has never favored those who wait. Wealth never belongs to those who tremble and hide in the shadows, while everyone else retreats in fear. This is the moment when those with courage step forward and take control. Look at Donald Trump, a businessman who once stood on the edge of bankruptcy. Yet during New York's darkest financial crisis, when every real estate player was fleeing, Trump was hunting for undervalued properties, reviving them and building a magnificent empire. Trump didn't just see the ruins. He looked straight through them and saw opportunities others were too afraid to imagine. And now, the question is yours. Will you tremble and wait for a miracle? Or will you move against the crowd and turn chaos into the defining opportunity of your life? If you want to become a winner, stay with me in today's podcast, because what I'm about to share with you may be the one key that can change your trajectory in this historic moment. Don't forget to subscribe to Unsaid Truths to stay connected with future episodes. Welcome to Unsaid Truths, where we reveal the realities society doesn't want you to see. New York. In the 1970s, America's most glamorous city was drowning in debt, recession, and chaos. Crime was rampant, real estate collapsed, major corporations and seasoned investors fled this decaying city. Everyone wanted out. No one dared to stay. Except one man, Donald Trump. While others saw abandoned, crumbling buildings, Trump saw pure potential. While the world saw ruin and despair, he saw the chance to build an empire of his own. One of his most famous deals was the Commodore Hotel, located next to Grand Central Station, a worn-out building that had nearly become a relic of the past. Everyone ignored it, everyone except Trump. He persisted through negotiations, built connections with corporations, lobbied city officials, and ultimately acquired the Commodore Hotel at a remarkably low price, along with tax incentives rarely seen in New York's history. Trump didn't just buy a building, he bought the future. After renovation, the Commodore Hotel was reborn as the Grand Hyatt, becoming a symbol of the city's revival. At the same time, the Trump real estate empire began to rise. So what made the difference? While the market panicked, Trump stayed calm. While others ran, he advanced. While people saw risk, he saw reward. And this wasn't just once. In the early 1990s, the U.S. real estate market collapsed again. The debt bubble burst. Real estate tycoons went bankrupt. Once more, Trump nearly lost everything. But instead of collapsing, he restructured his assets, renegotiated with banks, and once again used crisis as a lever to expand his power. Then came 2008. As the world was shaken by the greatest financial crisis in modern history, Trump did not panic. He publicly declared, "I hope the real estate market crashes, then I'll buy everything." And that is exactly what he did. When everyone panics and sells, Trump quietly accumulates. When others give up in despair, he keeps building. That boldness not only earned him billions of dollars, it turned Donald Trump into a living symbol of being greedy when others are fearful. Trump has no superpowers. He wasn't gifted with extraordinary talent. What he has is simply the courage to act when others are paralyzed by fear. Remember this lesson. Opportunities don't disappear in a crisis. They only change hands, from those who are afraid to those who dare to step forward. So the question for you today is this. Will you let this once-in-a-generation opportunity slip away, or will you seize it the way Donald Trump did? In 2025, the entire global economic system is entering a phase no one dares to name. No one officially declares that a recession has arrived, Yet everyone can feel it seeping into every cash flow, every number, every breath of the market. Inflation remains high. Central banks around the world cannot cut interest rates because of mounting public debt and weakening currencies. US government bonds are maturing at an unprecedented scale, putting pressure on budgets and shaking investor confidence. Stock markets are violently volatile. Real estate is nearly frozen. Consumer demand is slowing. Spending is being cut across all levels of society. Across many economies worldwide, countless small and medium-sized businesses can no longer survive. Stores, factories, and service chains are forced to scale back or temporarily shut down. Individual investors dump assets, pull money out of markets, and wait. No one dares to buy, and no one dares to expand. Everyone is holding their breath. But do you know what the most frightening thing really is? Not economic indicators, not gold prices or interest rates. The most terrifying thing is confidence, society's confidence, and your own. At the core, nearly all asset values in the world are built on belief. When large players dump massive amounts of assets, smaller investors panic and follow, causing prices to collapse. On the other hand, when people rush into an asset together, its price can rise like a mirage. That's why the value of any asset ultimately depends on whether the number of people who hold it and believe in it is rising or falling. This is why every number on a trading screen is an illusion. Only human psychology is real. And the most dangerous thing of all is that you follow the crowd. If you follow the crowd, you will always be behind. Go against the crowd, but remember, go against it with calculation, with research, and with strategy. Have you ever considered investing in a promising opportunity, only to hesitate because it felt uncertain? Are you holding cash, sitting still, hoping things will somehow fix themselves? If so, you are like most people. They are standing on the sidelines, watching, waiting, and letting opportunities slip away day after day. But do you remember what we discussed earlier? In 2008, the US stock market plunged nearly 40%. Everyone said it was over. Yet just 2 years later, the market rebounded by more than 60%. Those who bought during that blood-soaked moment multiplied their wealth many times over. And it wasn't just in the United States. After the 2008 collapse, many markets around the world experienced powerful recoveries within a short period. Those who had the courage to buy while the crowd was selling completely changed their position in just one cycle. You see, the fear of the crowd is a hidden asset for those who know how to recognize it. And now, the crisis of 2025 is opening a new door. Once again, opportunity is quietly changing hands. Will you let it pass by, or will you act? In every crisis, people ask the same question: how do you know when the right time to act has arrived? And the answer is simple. There is no such thing as a perfect moment. There is only the moment when you are brave enough to decide. Donald Trump didn't wait for New York to recover before investing in the Commodore Hotel. He stepped in while the city was still buried in debt and darkness. If he had waited until everything felt stable, the opportunity would have disappeared long ago. So what kind of mindset allowed Trump to act when everyone else was afraid? That mindset can be distilled into 4 unchanging principles. First, contrarian thinking. When the crowd is terrified and selling, when the news is flooded with dark headlines, that is precisely when you must remain calm. Instead of asking what everyone else is doing, ask where true value is being mispriced. Even the richest person in the world cannot win by chasing the crowd. But those who understand herd psychology can turn collective fear into personal opportunity. Second, focus on core value rather than surface appearances. A dirt-cheap property can be pure gold if it sits in a strategic location. A company in decline can be a rare opportunity if its product and its team remain strong. Trump could see a ruined hotel, but he didn't focus on cracked walls or torn carpets. He saw an irreplaceable location next to Grand Central Station. In times of chaos, don't stare at the surface picture. Examine the foundation of value beneath it. Third, control fear with data and planning. Playing big does not mean acting blindly. Trump didn't enter the Commodore deal on emotion. He negotiated tax incentives. He secured financial partners. He built scenarios to anticipate every major risk. And you should do the same. Don't act on impulse. Gather data. Analyze risk. Prepare a plan B and a plan C. With preparation, fear turns into clear-headed caution. Without preparation, fear turns you into someone who quits. Fourth, maintain a long-term vision that rises above the present. If you only look at today, everything appears to be collapsing. But if you look 5 years ahead, you begin to see rebuilding opportunities. Trump didn't build the Grand Hyatt to flip it for quick profit. He built it as a launchpad for his entire real estate empire. Likewise, when you invest or expand during a crisis, don't focus only on short-term gains. Imagine where your creation will stand once the storm has passed. Vision is the strongest weapon against fear. In summary, the mindset of playing big is built on going against the crowd, anchoring decisions in real value, managing risk through preparation, and always keeping a long-term perspective. This is the mental map every entrepreneur and investor must internalize to survive and rise during dark times. But the right mindset alone is not enough. In times of chaos, those who act faster will win. And next, we'll explore 3 practical strategies used by wealth builders like Donald Trump. Strategies you can begin applying starting today. First, actively hunt for undervalued assets. When markets panic, asset prices are often pushed far below their true value, and that is the opportunity. If you are an entrepreneur, pay attention to commercial spaces, factories, and retail locations being leased or transferred at discounted prices. If you are an investor, look for strong companies whose stocks are being dumped simply because of herd psychology. Remember this: low price does not mean low quality. Low prices are often nothing more than the product of fear, and those who know how to hunt in fear are the ones who harvest the most when markets recover. Second, expand your market share while competitors retreat. In times of crisis, many businesses slash budgets, cut advertising, and withdraw from the market. And that is exactly when you must step forward. With fewer competitors, customer acquisition costs decline. When customers have fewer choices, the brands that maintain their presence earn trust. If the opportunity arises, boldly negotiate to acquire smaller competitors that are struggling. Retrain your team, upgrade your products, improve processes, adopt new technologies. These investments may not deliver immediate rewards, but when the storm passes, the businesses that are stronger, more flexible, and more modern will lead. Learn from Amazon. In the early 2000s, when hundreds of tech companies collapsed, Amazon did not retreat. It continued investing in infrastructure, expanding logistics, and ultimately rose to become a global giant. Third, manage risk through cash flow and contingency planning. Playing big does not mean betting everything. Always maintain enough cash reserves to cover at least 6 months of operations. Prepare for the worst-case scenario. Revenue drops by 50%, markets freeze, partners collapse, and other shocks. When you prepare for the worst, you are not caught off guard. You act proactively instead of reacting defensively. Learn from Donald Trump. He did not buy the Grand Hyatt based on blind faith. He had strong financial partners. He secured tax incentives from city authorities, and he had a restructuring plan ready if the market turned against him. The lesson is clear. Take bold risks, but always leave yourself a safe exit. In summary, acting in a crisis does not mean charging forward blindly. It means moving quickly, decisively, and strategically, grounded in thorough preparation. Those who act correctly when others are paralyzed will lead the game once the storm has passed. But no matter how compelling theory may sound, it is only a passing breeze without real-world proof. So let's look at vivid examples of individuals and companies that dared to act when the world pulled back and succeeded spectacularly. First, Warren Buffett, the greatest example of being greedy when others are fearful. In 2008, when Wall Street was in panic, when banks were collapsing one after another, when US stocks were in free fall, no one dared to invest. No one, except one man. Warren Buffett invested $5 billion in Goldman Sachs at a moment when the market believed the bank was on the brink of collapse. He also bought major stakes in Bank of America while others were selling in fear. Just a few years later, when the crisis had passed, those investments generated billions of dollars in profit for Berkshire Hathaway. Buffett famously said, "Be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful." And he didn't just say it, he acted on it, and he won. Second, Airbnb and Uber, the children born from crisis. In 2008 to 2009, as the global economy plunged into severe recession, two small names appeared for the first time: Airbnb and Uber. When job markets froze and people needed extra income, Airbnb offered a way to earn money from spare rooms. When traditional taxis were chaotic and inefficient, Uber created a simple, convenient, and transparent alternative. No one believed these new models could survive a crisis, yet it was precisely that chaos that created ideal conditions for these young startups to reshape global consumer behavior. Today, both are companies valued at tens of billions of dollars. Third, small businesses around the world that adapted at lightning speed during recent crises. When the pandemic erupted, millions of businesses shut down, millions lost their jobs, and markets nearly froze. Yet, in the eye of the storm, a small number of people acted differently. Some shifted to online sales to keep cash flowing. Others changed products to meet new societal needs. Some moved their entire business models into the digital world and expanded beyond borders. These people are not more special than you. They differ in only one way. They acted while others were afraid. These examples are not coincidences. They are clear proof of an unchanging rule. In every crisis, there are always winners, if they are clear-headed and courageous enough. History has never lacked opportunities. What is always scarce are people perceptive enough to recognize opportunity when it is disguised as disaster. And you are living in exactly such a moment. A time not meant for the hesitant, but for those willing to act before the crowd even understands what is happening. A crisis is not a curse. A crisis is a test. It tests vision, it tests courage, and most importantly, it sorts people. Who will stand on the sidelines, and who will step forward to change the game? Donald Trump turned years of chaos into a launchpad for his empire. Warren Buffett earned billions in the very heart of financial turmoil. Airbnb, Uber, and hundreds of other great companies were forged from the ashes of crisis. So the final question for you is this: will you choose to be an observer or an actor? Will you wait in fear, or will you move forward with courage? Opportunity is here. It is not loud, it is not flashy. It hides beneath layers of doubt, anxiety, and daily negative headlines. Only those who are clear-minded can see it, and only those who are decisive can seize it. Right now, choose one concrete action. Finally, I wish you the strength to hold on to belief amid the storm, the clarity to maintain a long-term vision in uncertainty, and the courage to step forward while the rest of the world still trembles in fear. Act now. Turn today's storm into the foundation of tomorrow's triumph.